You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Turn After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Turn After Show.
Just let that play. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to AfterBuzz TV, your one and only spot for after-show entertainment. This is the Turn After Show, Episode 1, The Pilot. I'm your host, Ryan Hooks. Got a full house in here today, full of spies and undercover agents. Yep. Joining me on the panel today, Dillon Chance.
Hello.
Megan Salinas.
Hey guys.
And Kristin Carole.
Hey everyone.
Good to see everyone. How we doing?
America. No, we're good.
Feeling very patriotic tonight.
I'm feeling very
The
patriotic
song
myself.
is very like bluegrassy though. I'm feeling a little more chill than the one in the show.
Yeah, it's a different version of the old Turpin Hill, but
Yep.
I liked it. I like where it's at. So we just watched episode 1 of Turn. What did you guys think?
Initial reactions.
Initial reactions.
I'm excited to see where this can go because what AMC seems to do really well is they take a male lead and they kind of take the weaknesses of him and then throughout the series really build him into this huge character. And Jamie Bell is such a great actor that I'm very interested to see how they do the next 10 episodes or 9 episodes because it's 10 full.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a really good introduction. I think it was a great premise. We've seen spy stories before and we've seen kind of revolutionary stories before, but not really any that. Never on TV have I seen like an American spy story during the Revolutionary War.
It is the first American spy story.
So it's a really good idea for a premise, and it looks like they've built up a really good ensemble cast and a really good set of characters to focus on for this series. So I'm excited.
Dillon, what do you think?
I said this earlier. I'm really waiting to see how this turns out to
Turns
not be.
out?
I see what I did.
Put a quarter in the pun jar.
Oh, my bad. Turns out not to be the Patriot.
Okay.
Right now, it still feels a little familiar. But like you said, the spy thing, it's new. But I'm still waiting.
Still waiting. So, as we know, Washington Spies, Alexander Rose's book, which is what Turn is based off of. I've started reading it, but I will save any comparison until I'm finished with the book.
How far did you get?
I'm about 100 pages in. So.
Oh, nice.
So like I said, I started reading it because I wanted to see comparisons as the season progresses and see the characters as they develop. I agree. I'm interested to see where it goes because I don't know if I felt like there was a lot of suspense in the first episode, which I usually think for a pilot episode is something you want because then you want us to come back and keep watching. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I just think it's hard with a show like this too because there's so many people, and I don't know about you guys, but all the guys in white wigs. Like I was like, wait, which one was that one? Is he doing that and that thing? So it was just kind of a little hard.
It's difficult because they all know each other, but we don't know any of them, and when they're all wearing
they don't say the names
same
till
outfits.
later for some of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that you were talking about AMC does a really good job with taking a male lead and developing a story around them. I feel like AMC has invested a lot in this show. Because I have seen advertisements on HBO, on CBS, on AMC, online, on websites, billboards all over Los Angeles. I've seen this show advertised more than any show that's out right now.
Well, I think because their competition is going to be
Game of Thrones. Yeah, Game of Thrones premieres tonight as well.
That is really hard to go up against.
But one thing to consider with that is a lot of people do watch
DVRs.
Game of Thrones. Well, in DVRs. But their HBO is a paid network. AMC isn't, in the fact if you have cable, you have AMC. Right. So a lot of people actually don't watch Game of Thrones.
A lot of people.
A lot of people illegally download Game of
There you
Thrones.
go.
It is the most illegally downloaded show.
Seems like you know about that.
I
John.
don't know anything about that. Jeez.
Well, like I said, so I think there's a good market for people to watch the show. It is a cool concept, and they're coming out with a new idea of something that's, that's different. There's not a show like this right now. There's a lot of shows that are post-revolution. There's a lot of shows that are about the same thing right now. So they're coming out with new ideas, which is great because you want a show that isn't on the market right now.
Well, and it's good to see what looks to be the foundation for a really good historical show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for right now, a lot of the shows that are on are historically based, but not, we've got like Mad Men, which is like the 60s, and we've got
Period.
we've got
Black
different
Sails
periods.
was just on, and it was about the
Right.
pirates.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't seen one for the Revolutionary War in a long time. So this will be
Yeah,
very
it's good to be out in
interesting.
front of that because they're going to be the pioneering show for that, and it's going to draw an audience because no one's doing it. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's talk about who's who. Because we're introduced to a large ensemble cast. There was a lot of characters that we met this week. First off, Abe Woodhill.
Okay, main guy.
He looks like our protagonist.
He-
our
Jamie
hero, yeah.
Bell.
He
yes.
is our protagonist, played by Jamie Bell. Man, you know what? I go way back on Jamie Bell.
Billy
I'm a
Elliot way back.
I'm a Billy Elliot fan. I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie, but
I
Jamie
actually
Bell
have
played-
not.
It's
I've
great.
never seen
He's
it.
like
It's a
12. It's like
great
he's like
movie.
12, and he is this kid, and he's grown up, and his parents want him to like learn to box and be this macho boy, and he learns to take dance, and he's like a ballet dancer.
Great
And then
movie.
yeah, it's a great movie. So we also get his wife Mary. Megan Warner is the wife. Also, we meet Thomas, who obviously doesn't have any lines because he's like
But
one.
he's so
Not
cute.
yet.
He's so cute.
Not yet.
Not
In
yet.
season 7.
In season 7,
He'll
be
be
out.
like America.
So do we want to do this by sides or just want to do it as random? Because we have sides in this as well.
We could go by sides to sort
Okay.
of give everybody let everybody know what team everybody's on. so
Okay,
to
so let's of course do the America side first. Woo! Yes.
Patriots.
Benjamin Talmadge, as we learn, is an undercover operative and working with the Continental Congress, played by Seth Numrich. Anybody?
Sure.
No?
Somebody?
Bueller? Anybody? All right. Caleb Brewster is the courier, as we learn.
That guy's awesome.
So I think so far he's my favorite character.
Me too.
Yeah.
He
By far.
definitely has a lot of personality, and I love when they were just talking to each other, and Anna's talking to Abe, and she's like, "You saw him? How is he? The same as ever. He's
Bearded.
unshaven. He's insane. He's doing great."
I like that.
I like that too. I think he's because every show needs a comic character.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna be the guy that always is telling jokes and busting people up
While he throws axes.
while he throws axes at people's backs.
Yes.
You mentioned Anna, and she's probably my favorite. I just like where they're gonna take her because
She looks to be really important. She's the signal person for right now, and right now she's probably the inciting reason why Abe is getting involved with them in the first place.
yeah, and she just knows how to handle herself, and you can see why Abe had fallen for her.
Yeah, so we get Anna Strong then. So we learned in the beginning of the episode that there was a previous relationship between them several years ago, but they broke up, and Cillian is who she marries, Sela.
Sela.
Sela Strong.
Sela Strong.
Well, he
the
owns a
owner.
bar.
Who doesn't like a good bar owner?
She
right.
fell in love with the bartender.
It happens.
Okay, so we also then on the other side, on we'll call them
The Redcoats.
the Redcoats. Okay, I was gonna call them rebels, but technically the rebels are the Americans. I'm so
The
confused.
Patriots are the rebels.
All right, so Robert Rogers is who we meet 1st, played by Angus McFadden. I love him. All the way back. Speaking of
Playing a
war
group of
movies and-
mercenaries.
Yeah,
Yes.
we first see him taking a piss.
yeah, done.
Yeah.
So the Queen.
How's that for an introduction to
Well,
a
there's
character?
like, I mean, it's just like, here's this guy. He just killed a whole bunch of people, and then he's just rough. He's just, very rugged. Like, I'm gonna just
yeah,
be
do
rough
whatever I
and
want.
tumble. You don't, it's still kind of funny in that kind of roguish way, but at the same time, it's like I would not want to be anybody that you were paid to stop.
No.
So
He's hardcore.
He is hardcore, and he runs the Queen's Rangers, which are brought over, and they are reporting to several different people. We have Major Hewlett, who we've met. We've met Captain John Simcoe, and also Major John Andre. John Andre is actually who Rogers is reporting to at the beginning when they're in Brooklyn, and he's the one that sends over the secret message that we get. So we've got a lot of people to talk about.
So
All right, is everyone confused? Good.
Yes.
Let's move on. All right, so the show starts off in Sentalk, and we get our Long Island family on the farm, living the dream, farming and living it up. But a redcoat leaves, and as you were saying, Megan, during the episode, redcoats were commissioned and lived in homes.
yeah, it was prescribed that there was a lot of stuff in the wake of the Indian, the French and Indian War, that caused the British to do a lot of the stuff that ended up inciting the American Revolution. And of course, you know, as things were escalating, one of the things that was done was saying that, you know, if you're a British citizen, one of the things you have to do is you have to provide lodging for soldiers if it's needed. And so, you know, of course, if people don't want soldiers in their homes, that's going to cause some issues. But for right now, Abe's not trying to, he's not trying to ruffle any feathers. So he's like, he'll be gone in a couple months. It'll be fine.
And he makes a comment early in the episode that just be happy that it's just soldiers staying here. Not that there's any war and there's nothing going on around them in Long Island. So they're really safe where they are. They can keep farming, keep living their lives, and the soldiers are just there. And it's an inconvenience, but at the same time, there's no danger to them.
Why are there so many soldiers in this little tiny farming community? Right?
Oh, I feel like a lot of them are probably stationed there because it's right outside of New York. They're really close to New Jersey
Yeah, they
and
just
Connecticut.
had their
New-
battle against Washington.
They said in the intro that New York was like the hub
Right.
of, it was like basically home base for the British
Sure.
operations.
Yeah.
So.
And it's close enough, but far enough away too, where they're not like right in the midst of it. If they're, you know, if they're not doing something during the battle, if they're not active.
Yeah, and the episode cuts back and forth, I think, several times between New York, because they're in Brooklyn, and then they're
New
in
York
New Jersey.
and Long Island.
And then they're in New Jersey, and then they're in Connecticut, because they're all really close to each other. 'Cause
Yeah,
you can sail a
it's-
boat, you know, all right in the harbor and all
I mean,
that.
even I took a trip up there like 2 years ago, and just driving, it was so much closer than I even thought. You know, being up there is, you know, drove through like 5 different states. while
Yeah,
you're
and we forget America was a lot smaller back then. You
Yeah,
know,
the 13 colonies are really smaller than California
yeah, pretty much so.
in terms of all that. But we cut over to New Jersey, and this is where we meet Robert Rogers with his Queen's men, and they had just finished a battle by the looks of it, and they were out killing all of the Continental Congress rebels as they lie in ditches. One of the men was stabbing everyone. This is where we meet Ben Talmadge, who escapes and takes the coat, takes the hat, the bonnet, if you will, and he gets away. He gets shot, though, because as he's being tended to by his friends, he is introduced to General Scott, who we only got for a brief minute, but he's asking General Scott, you know, we need spies. We need help to run back and forth. I know people. There's people I trust. Can we do this? And General Scott says we have no friends. So we're set up early on that no one can be trusted and that nothing's going to happen.
and that it sounds like their own information has been compromised. So there could be that there's a spy in their midst right now already.
Spies everywhere.
There's spies everywhere.
Don't trust anyone.
So
Scott could be no, I'm just kidding.
everyone could be a spy.
Yeah.
But we jump back into the Woodhall farm, and we find out that they have rotten crops. There are maggots and worms all over the place. Abe's got to have something to do. He has no money. They're going to die, starving.
And he owes money
And he
to
owes money
Sela.
to
And he's an honorable man who will pay his debts. And let's be honest, if Anna really did break his heart, the last thing he wants to do is owe money to her husband. So
Maybe that gives him an excuse to keep going over there.
I think that's what it's an excuse to
Yeah.
go back. Here, let me pay half now and half later. Do you think that that's going to come into play later on in terms of, you know, his honorability and his allegiance? Because it seems very much like he is a very honorable person, and he's very committed to repaying his debt even after the fact.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why he hadn't really picked a side when we get introduced to him. He's like, I'm not trying, you know, I don't see traitors, and, you know, I don't see all this other stuff. I'm just trying to do what's right. You know, my father taught me no man was above the law, but in times that are this turbulent, you know, it's kind of hard to tell, you know, okay, well, what law do I have to abide by?
Yeah, and I love the comment that he makes when they're having dinner about who collects the taxes. He's like, oh, you're paying taxes, but who's collecting the taxes?
Yeah. So we all have to pay a tax, but who's collecting?
Yeah, and they're with Major Hewlett. So he ends up at the bar. We meet Sela, and also this is where we're introduced to Anna Strong. They are married. They own the bar. There's a bunch of redcoats in there, and they're joking about Washington and, you know, reading things from the newspaper. And Robeson, another guy that we meet slightly early on, but a less important character, is reading off of the paper, which is offending Sela. It offends them because they're somewhat low to the cause, I think, at this point. But it seems to me weird that they have all the redcoats there. It's like they've sold out.
Well, no, I mean,
They
they
don't
have
have a
guns.
choice.
They
Yeah.
have guns. You
Sell
can't
out or
really
die.
say no to the people pointing guns at you saying, please give me some liquor.
I guess, and they're paying.
Or are they?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe they're like, that's just part of us being quartered here, is you have to give us free
Give us all your
alcohol.
free booze.
So he's probably PO'd because they're not paying that well. They're bad tippers. I mean, I'm sure it's like really.
It's all
They're
of
probably
business.
breaking a lot of his stuff too.
Well, they
they're all
broke a
drunk.
glass
They broke
earlier.
the glass, yeah. So
Who's gonna pay for that?
a fight breaks out because Captain Joyce gets offended by the things that Robeson says after Celia gets into it with him. Basically,
Well, I thought he got into the fight mostly because when they were talking, the alcohol got spilled on him, and he was
Yeah.
just like,
And he was
"You
offended.
messed up my outfit."
his red coat gets
Yeah.
stained up. Anyway, a fight ensues. Hands get cut. Feelings get hurt. Ouch. Ouch. And Abe gets beat up.
Yes.
Badly beat up. For no, I feel like it was unjustified how they like jumped him.
He took a side.
Yeah,
but he tried not to. By trying to keep them from Sela, he very blatantly took a side.
and he was hands-on with an officer. He was pulling his
He
jacket
pulled his
off.
jacket off. I feel like it was like a hockey fight when he's like taking the jacket off and punch him.
Yeah.
Well, because he was eyeballing a knife too early on, and he never went for a knife, but he was outnumbered as well.
I thought it was interesting then later on, he did end up grabbing a knife with Anna. So we're slowly seeing him that it was something that
Next
he was
time.
apprehensive about. So you never know.
Yeah,
Maybe
we're
next time
seeing
he'll
a
kill someone.
progression.
Yeah.
The next time he goes. Well, anyway, so we find out that Captain Joyce is in trouble for ensuing this fight. He's getting court-martialed and sent back to England based on the orders. And this is when we're first introduced to Richard Woodhull, which is Abe's father, which is somebody we didn't talk about a minute ago when we were talking about all these people.
Played by Mr.
Kevin
Gibbs.
Kevin McNally, Mr. Gibbs from the Pirate franchise. I really liked the way he portrayed himself in this episode because I feel like it's really hard when an actor is in a franchise movie and it's a well-known franchise movie and then you have to be someone totally different. So he can't be Mr. Gibbs.
I mean, I don't think you can necessarily tell because his look here is very different than it is in Pirates,
Yeah, the
obviously.
costuming in both the movie and in the show are so distinct.
But
that,
vocally
yeah.
as well. His vocal inflections and the way he spoke and the way he flowed his sentences were very different than he is in Gibbs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's a really good actor.
Yes.
Hi.
Although it
I went
is
there.
very
Sorry.
amusing to see a pirate, somebody who played a pirate playing a lawman, somebody who's
Yeah, he is the
very
judge.
much- yeah.
In the episode, and he is working directly with the British. So I'm
Very
interested. to s-
influential.
He's very he has
towards
very
the major.
very much in with the British, very much, especially the major who runs the town essentially, very much in his ear. Do you think that that's going to come up to play later down the road if his son gets into trouble, or do you think it's going to go the other way?
Well, he said they set up that sort of at the end of this episode, not to jump too far ahead with what we're talking about, but he's like, I'm not going to help you anymore. So that's going to be definitely a point of drama if he finds out something. He's either going to hang his son out to dry or he's going to be like, get out of here,
Yeah, I tend to think though, given what we've seen so far with, the with the English, that they're gonna make him guilty by association. This is your son. Why aren't you controlling him more or whatnot? Because I don't. Maybe he'll hang him out to dry. I tend to think more that there might be repercussions for him for having a son who's rebelling.
So you think it's going
Or
to come back
question-
on Richard?
Yeah, I think it's gonna hurt him.
Yeah, especially because he has such a good relationship with the major. When if the major finds out that, this kid who he's let off, more than
Multiple times,
once, is actually a spy. Of course, it's like, well, who influenced me to let him off? Well, his father. Well, obviously his
father's
father.
spy.
Yeah.
And
Guilt
especially
by
if they
association.
find out that he was lying to them while sitting in front of his father in his father's house. So if his father did actually know that, and he did, that those names of those kids didn't exist, well, then obviously he's a traitor.
Yeah, because his father knew that he
Yeah.
calls him out on it and says, you lied to me and all that. But this is where we first see his influence on the major. And, he tells him about Abe's engagement previously to Anna and that he still loves her. And that's part of the reason he was at the bar, probably part of the reason he came to the defense of Sela. And, it was the guy that they fought against was a drunkard and just they should let him go.
What I kind of like, and maybe it's just because I like the actor, but I kind of like that Major Hewlett doesn't seem like a bad guy. He just seems like a very law-abiding, by the
Very to
book
the point, very
guy.
by the book.
And I like that because it's so easy to kind of go the Patriot route where you just show every redcoat as
Evil
a
and-
really bad guy,
Right.
as somebody like Captain Simcoe, as we're going to see.
It's creepy.
Yeah, he's the
Very,
worst.
yeah,
He
it's
is
very
creepy.
easy to go that route and vilify people, but it's, and so I like it when shows take the higher road and show, no, not everybody's evil. These are guys just doing their job.
We don't know if he's not evil yet.
And we've seen that historically in a lot of different movies and shows where the people that are the bad guys can be the high road people, and they were very much gentlemen of the time. And they didn't, with fighting, the reason that we won a good chunk of the war is because we fought militia style. We didn't stand out in a line and fight like gentlemen.
Yeah, we fought dirty.
We fought dirty.
We fought
Guerrilla
really dirty.
warfare.
Yeah, and that's a part of the reason. I mean, that's a major part of the reason we won most
Yes.
of the wars that we won during the American Revolution, or I guess the battles rather, because we didn't fight like gentlemen. And you see that a lot, especially with the higher ranking people, because they probably were gentlemen of land and of title, and they bought these commissions. Because later we find out that Simcoe, he bought the title.
That's bogus.
Yeah, he bought Joyce's title after he was decommissioned and sent back to England.
What kind of military allows you to
I know.
buy being a captain?
I'm gonna buy my way to the top right now.
Whoa, Major, take it easy.
That's general to you.
Oh, Jen.
And what are you going to use to buy your way to that general? What does Mr. Lincoln have to say? Well, who's Mr. Lincoln?
Yeah, who's Mr. Lincoln? How about Mr. Jackson? Too soon?
Mr.
Yeah.
Washington? What? You're a traitor.
You're a traitor.
Just throw some pounds there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's some silk.
Silk and pounds.
Silk and pounds. But we find out
Lettuce.
though that what he was talking about, Richard, with the Major, that it works. They come in the middle of the night and they take them away, but Abe gets released and he's like, "You can thank your father." Go home and run to him. Basically, they're
Yeah.
giving him a hard time, knowing that the reason he was released was because of his father. But Sela does get taken away. Did you think he was going to get hanged?
For a minute, yeah, I thought they were going to hang him because they had been talking about, they were putting ropes on the tree earlier. I thought that they were going to hang him, and then it wasn't until later when, they show him in the stocks. I was like, oh, good. He's all right. He's not dead.
I just think I'm so used to watching Walking Dead on AMC that I'm like, nobody's safe.
Yeah,
could just
yeah,
be me.
that's the thing about shows these days is that, they're not afraid to kill people off anymore.
Especially AMC.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. So he's in the stockade, and he goes to him, and he says, "Hey, listen, you can plead guilty to the first charge of insurrection, and they're not going to kill you." Basically, just not obeying command. And, he's like, "Well, what do you want for this information?" I actually thought he was going to free him. Did anyone else feel like that?
I did too, but kind of looking at how that lock was, and we're seeing that Abe's still not that much of like a outgoing, assertive kind of
Not
guy
yet, it's too
yet.
soon.
I think it is too soon for his character to really do something like that. I think they hinted at maybe him being the one that ends up killing Captain Joyce because there were maggots in his neck, but I'm not sure. As we see later, like he's not.
He just ate some of that lettuce.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
just came out of his throat.
Do you guys have any thoughts on who killed Joyce?
Ooh.
I wouldn't put it past Simcoe to kill him so that he could purchase the title.
And be
That's good.
promoted.
And also get shacked up with Anna.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
She was in-
I mean, don't get me wrong.
The things he does for love.
They're being really ambiguous with whether or not Abe actually did it. You know, he never says I didn't do it. He always says, "You believe that? I've never killed anybody." You know, but he never directly says, "No, I didn't kill Captain
So
Joyce."
then, yes or no, do you guys think that Abe killed Joyce?
No.
No.
No, I actually like your theory
Yeah, it's
that
pretty
it's
good.
Simcoe. I didn't even think of that.
I could definitely see that. I mean, he has a motive. It's a very, it's a very subtle motive.
And he's the
promotion.
shadiest of them all.
So far,
He is.
yeah.
I like that theory. Let's stick with that for now.
Good theory.
Good. Done.
Well done.
Moving back.
Megan.
We go back to Abe's house at the night time, and he's there with Mary and his father. And, he's telling him, listen, when you go to trial, they know the faults with Robeson, and you're not responsible. So you shouldn't, soil the name of Woodhull. Basically, you can tell that his father is very much with the British.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and he's also concerned about his legacy.
Yes.
You know, when you get on in years, and especially during this time when life expectancy isn't that great anyway, your family legacy is a big deal, and he doesn't want his son to besmirch the family name. Before he goes.
Especially in these trying times. Yeah.
I really liked, don't ruin their, legacy, and or legacy is everything. Is that what he says? And I think it's cool that he said that because, what Abe's going to do is going to create.
He's a
legacy. I mean, there's a TV show now about him. I mean, that's the one
and
who's going to get
these guys had a huge impact on history. So yeah, there you go.
And he even offers him work as well because he knows they're struggling, and he offers him basically running
I think
pigs.
he'll end up taking that later because it was going to New York, and they talked about earlier. Ben was talking about
Sending
getting
someone to New York.
courier to go to New York.
So, like, maybe he'll try to quote unquote
go
patch
with
things up
go
with Dad.
his dad's business, but not
Just
really
like,
run
Dad,
the family
I'm
business.
so sorry that I lied. Can I come work for you to make it up to you? I see. I like your thinking.
We're heading there because he takes the cabbage basically from his farm and goes and tries to sell it to raise a little bit of money. And yeah, this is where he gets hooked up with Caleb. And after he's caught by Ben, and they talk about what to tell the people. He said, tell them the truth. Basically, you were smuggling goods back and forth, and they'll believe you because they kind of turn a blind eye to it because you were making some money and you weren't really hurting anything. And that's going to be a good justifiable reason for him to go back and forth where no one's going to question what he's doing.
You'll get a slap on the wrist and you'll be back at home.
And if he's doing it for his father,
it's
it's going to be legit. And, the major obviously likes Richard, so no one's going to even care. It's going to be nothing. I think that's a good thought down the line of what's going to happen with what he's going to do and how he's going to take over this.
And
business.
actually, I think that's to his benefit too, in terms of like whether or not we as an audience think that he killed Joyce, because I think he would have been a lot more concerned about coming back late if he knew that Joyce was dead.
Right.
He would know that there'd be a bunch of redcoats looking for him who might have even shot him on sight. So I think that's in his favor in terms of like, I don't think he did it. Sorry, I know we moved past that already.
No, it was good.
No.
We're covering it all today.
There's so much. It's an hour and a half show. I mean, there's so much going on.
Especially with so many characters and different plot lines starting to develop, especially early on. You know who else covers a lot?
iTunes?
iTunes. You are right, Megan Salinas. iTunes does cover a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the show that we all love. Talk about iTunes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're glad you're here. Turn After Show. You guys can check us out on iTunes. You can check out one of our 75 different shows that we have going on right now. Over 100 countries, 25 million people check us out. Go on, rate us. Tell us what you think. Leave us comments. This is the very first show, so we want to know what you guys think about what's going to happen, what's going on in history, everything.
Yeah, and we do this for free, so we definitely like to hear from you guys because we're fans, and hopefully we'll be big fans of this show as it continues to grow as well. And we definitely want to hear. I mean, there's so many theories, so many different ways that this could go. What do you guys think?
And you know what else you can get on iTunes? The brand new AfterBuzz TV app.
Ooh.
Have you guys downloaded it yet?
I got it.
No,
I got it too. It's awesome.
It is?
It has every single one of our shows.
Yep.
You can watch every single episode after they've been posted,
Yep.
audio and video.
Yep.
And you can favorite your favorite shows like Turn, and so you don't have to search for it.
It's great.
It's awesome.
I just jumped on. I favorited a couple of shows, and they instantly appear like right at the bottom, so you can quickly go to them.
I was trying
And
to do it
then
on
you
my
watch 'em.
phone, and my phone's
available
really
on iTunes
slow.
and Android.
Well,
I have Sprint.
I have a
maybe-
BlackBerry.
I don't
gotta
think
get
there's
myself an
there's
iPhone
not
or
a
something.
BlackBerry app available. I don't think currently for anything. Anyway,
Megan lives in the past.
Megan gets a free phone
1778.
through work. That's why.
And Kristin needs IT help. So
Yeah.
so if you guys have
We're
that
living in the
information for
past.
them, can you please post it on the iTunes comment section and let us know how you can help Megan and Kristen move into the 21st
Move
century?
into the future.
and download an app
And
on
also
their phone.
be sure to also look at us on YouTube. I think that's easier to interact with as well. But go to iTunes for the ratings, YouTube for
I comment all
for
over
comments.
YouTube. So if you're on YouTube and you leave comments, you'll probably hear from me at least twice. Because I'm all over that. Anyway, back to the show. So we head over to Brooklyn because it's so close. And there's a boat full of redcoats, full of Queens Rangers. I did like, and Megan, you were saying when we were watching this, they incorporated Indians into this because they tried to recruit Indians basically to help the cause and promise of giving them back land.
Native Americans, yeah, that was one thing that the British.
I'm sorry, Native Americans.
I'll be interested to see too as this progresses, like how much they involve that, because there were such a big part, and then later on with the French as well, with the American side,
and the Dutch.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be interested to see how that goes.
Yeah,
if
we
that'll
didn't
be
win it
something
on our
we'll
own.
touch
We had
now.
help.
Yeah.
Lots
Had
of
to
help.
call in
well,
some
and I'm
help.
curious too. I was talking when we were watching it, the years seem a little bit different than historical years of how things time out, because they said this started at 1776.
The show started at autumn 1776. That's what it said. So
Which is September 15th was when the British officially occupied New York, which
Right.
is right kind of where we were.
And
So that
in
makes
terms
sense.
of historically, the Culper Ring, which is what this is going to become, they aren't really seriously active until around 1778.
So season 3?
No.
So, well, I'm just talking about historically, because obviously this is fiction adjacent. So it is sometimes historically close to, give or take a few years, based on what they need to happen in terms of
I'm sure they're going to take some
major
liberties,
conflicts and things like that, so that they can time things out properly. So, like I said, I'm always interested to see how things historically time out to fictional world, and if they coincide and overlap. Because sometimes they don't.
Maybe they just started earlier than they actually say they did.
Well, and that's a good
throw
point,
everyone
because
off.
so with the Culper Ring and these spy rings in the early time, they weren't actually discovered that these were around until 1930s.
Yeah.
They found letters that people had written, and a lot of the people in power, so George Washington and some of the major people in the political arena, had no idea who these spies were, and they didn't want to know.
Now that's when you have really good spy work, when it doesn't come out until like 200 years later.
Yeah, like I said, in terms of historically, 1930 was the date given to when
Those are spies who did really well at their jobs.
There was a trunk full of letters from Richard Townsend, who may or may not show up in the show, and they found these letters, and they were some of the spy work that he'd done. And the only reason they were even able to figure it out was because they matched his handwriting to letters that were in Washington's journals. So they didn't even know who they were until they figured out that the handwritings were the
Yeah,
same.
they were looking up something completely different, and it was like, oh, wait a minute.
Whoa.
We might have something else new on our hands.
So that's an interesting fact.
We would have never known had he not kept a trunk full of secret letters.
You gotta burn that
You
stuff.
burn that. They
Everybody
didn't have
knows that.
shredders back then.
That's true.
Spy 101.
Well, a lot of the stuff, too, it was funny, just based off of everything that we watch nowadays with spy thrillers, is that, Abe was able to go through a window and look through all this paper, and you're just thinking to yourself, I mean, nowadays it would have been like fingerprints, there would have been
Security cameras, there would have been all
surveillance
sorts of
and-
lasers he would have had to go through.
But
he would
all
have had
these
to been a
things-
master hacker. to
Yeah,
hack
all these
into a
things that we
laptop.
don't have to worry about nowadays. We didn't have to worry about back then, and we do have to worry about now. It's just kind of interesting that makes him, or what's
makes it
going to
easier to
make
be a
him a
spy.
big spy.
Yeah.
Cool. So we meet General John Andre, and he's giving information to Rogers, basically, about location of some of the spies. I was actually a little confused in this part, because I thought like he was trying to weed out someone who was like a traitor.
No, I just think he was giving him another
Secret
Well,
document.
because he even said at one point, I want to, you're somebody I can trust, and eventually I want to give you a bigger target, like Washington. So the next thing was the safe house in Connecticut. So since he was able to take out the group where we first meet Ben, it's like, well, here's a bigger one. It's kind of like, here's a promotion, and he wants more money even for
Well,
it.
they're
so it's a good
mercenaries, so they're proving themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, more money, and you get the bigger job. And if you do that well, the chance for a bigger job comes along.
And so we do find out that this letter later comes, and it's a secret letter. And it has information about the location of this camp that Ben Talmadge is running. And they are wanting to basically attack it. The information gets spilled out to Abe because of the dinner that he has, because he got in trouble. So it's almost like it's just a right place, right time sort of thing for him. And he wasn't even really considering any of this until he went to Anna and told her about this. So do you think that Anna is going to play a major influence on the things that Abe does?
Oh, she already has.
Absolutely,
She
yeah.
already has. I don't think he would have done it.
More
She
so
was
than
like,
his wife.
What are you waiting for?
Because Mary does tell him, whatever you're into, stop.
And he
And
doesn't like his
obviously
wife.
he doesn't. Well, and yeah, she's like the second choice because he was forced into it.
Well, that
Plan B.
and
Yeah.
I don't know if she's
Sorry, Mary.
super I don't know if she's super gung-ho about being loyal to the British anyway, because she was talking about, you know, their son at the very beginning, like, you know, are you sure you want him walking so quickly? Because, you know, the sooner he can walk, the sooner he can march.
Right.
And that, you know, that's left ambiguous. It's like, well, does she mean march for the British or march against the British?
She also makes the comment, though, too, about, you know, when she said, whatever you're into, cut it out. That was after he got in trouble for helping, you know, the rebels. So he wasn't even doing things for the British. So you don't really know what side Mary lies on and where her allegiances are, or if she just doesn't want him involved in anything.
I think she just wants him to lay low.
Yeah,
And
because
stay out of everything.
She said specifically, yeah, we couldn't get by without you. And he's like, we. And she's like, I need you to be okay.
I think she could. I was kind of weird that I think she said that because, you know, she has Thomas and Thomas wouldn't be okay
Yeah, I don't know why
without
she
him.
just
So I
kept
don't know why
with the we.
she's.
Yeah,
I don't know why
that was
she's-
weird to me as well.
Probably
But she
because
seems a little.
well, any scene that they have together, his attention is always way more focused on their child than it is on her. And he, in terms of like character interactions, is always more focused on Anna whenever she's in the room. So it could be that, you know,
Well, Mary probably knows if
Yeah.
everybody else knows.
Well, they
Mary
exchanged looks, Mary and Anna, out in the courtyard.
Yeah, so
look
Mary
nice.
obviously knows, but she loves her husband, and so she's like, just, you know, whatever you're doing, I need you. I can't get by without you.
So
It's
do
very
you?
low self-esteem.
Oh, poor Mary.
So do you think later then down the road there's something's going to happen where Mary's going to sell out Abe?
Ooh.
I don't think necessarily Abe, but I think maybe Anna.
Sell out someone.
Sell out Anna, in which case may in turn
Cause trouble for
cause
Abe.
trouble. Yeah, for Abe, exactly. And then it's kind of like, well, if you were hanging out with your wife instead of your ex.
If you were
like-
where you should have been, at home.
I think it's the opposite. I think she'd leak information if she thought like he was in trouble. You know, she'd do whatever she thought was going to get him out of trouble and bring him back to her.
Right.
Which also, in turn, could get him into more trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, you know,
I thought I
because she
was
doesn't
bringing you
know.
home, not to jail. Sorry,
Darn
honey.
it.
I just feel like something's going to happen with her that's going to cause trouble for Abe.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if she's meant in a good way or trying to help, it's going to be bad.
They've
It's
already set her up as the nagging wife, which is
Yeah.
kind of sad.
already.
He's going to have to make a choice, I think, at some point.
Do you think he'll leave her?
Oh, man.
I don't think
Right-
so.
right now,
Because
I
he,
think so.
he has a kid.
He does
has
have
a kid.
And he
I
is an
don't think-
honorable man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's an honorable man. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just throwing out questions and seeing what sticks to the wall right now because we got a lot to cover and we, there's a lot of things we need to talk about. And let's talk about it. You all giving me looks like I'm crazy over here.
We're following your lead, Captain.
Aye, aye, Captain. Moving right along. So after after Abe goes to see Caleb and he gets money and he gets attacked and he's, given this opportunity, did you think at that point he was going to go for it right away? Or do you think he was going to just not go for it at all?
I wasn't surprised to see him, still being like, I'm not taking sides. I wasn't surprised by that. I was surprised, though, that he didn't give the name of Caleb because I just assumed that if he's friends with Caleb and if he's friends with Ben, that they're all friends or they all were friends at one point. So that made me think, I was like, oh, is Caleb, is he just doing his own pirate thing that even the rebels look down on?
Everyone looks down on him because he's over there
And
just selling to
so
everybody.
that made me wonder kind of about allegiances. And I'm like, okay, this is what ended up making him the perfect man, for them to recruit was that, he wouldn't sell out his friend even to somebody he knows is also a friend.
Right.
So
I agree. And I like that he didn't sell them out at all. And he gave fake names. And again, that's setting him up. And I think that's setting him up for, what side he's going to be on and how he's going to progress throughout the show.
Did any of you guys think at first, I know I did, when he was saying the names, that I thought it was some actual people and that he almost felt bad that he said it when he's like, oh, well, we're going to keep an eye out to kill him. And I was like, oh, did he just pick random names that weren't like the actual people?
I at first
That's
did
what I
think he was
thought.
giving names of people he knew at some point.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
random people.
I
like,
thought he
oh,
was
yeah,
giving
this guy.
names of people he knew were probably already dead. That's what I thought.
That there weren't just fake people. Well, I mean, but the way he drew it out. It
He
seemed
gave
like
some
they could
good
have been
fake names, like
could
right
have
off
been
the
fake names.
Simon, and I didn't catch his last name.
was the
He
fat
had
one.
a receding hairline.
That was very
seemed drunk.
Patriot as well. There's a certain cheeky officer out there. He's anybody
That is one of the
Yeah,
best scenes.
where he sells them out. But I don't know. I'm curious to see if those people show up. If they're actually like there's random people that have these names.
No, his
think
dad
Richard
said at the
cleared
end,
that up.
at the end of the episode that he's like, there is nobody in that town by those names.
in that town.
I mean, maybe there's a Simon, you know?
Randomly.
It's possible that there's a Simon.
It's just no
a
last
fat
name.
Simon with a scar on his head.
So
That guy's gonna show up.
Were you surprised that when he took the 12 pounds that he got and tried to give them to Anna to help free her husband?
I wasn't surprised.
No.
Well, he said he had a debt to repay. So it's not that surprising, to be honest.
Well, and I think also I think he's honorable. I also think he feels guilty for how he feels for Anna. I think like when you're honorable like him, even just having feelings, he's got a wife and kids, and obviously he feels something for Anna, so he feels like really bad. And I think, paying off his debts and trying to help,
He's helping Sela and Anna.
Sela
Yeah.
as much as possible is kind of like, I'm sorry for having a crush on your wife and almost marrying her 3 years ago. Let me try to keep repaying
Let me buy your
you.
way out of prison.
And
Yeah,
Sela
buy
asked
my
him,
guilt.
and Sela asked him to take care of Anna while he was in prison too. And the best way to do that is probably paying back your loan as quickly as possible.
Well, I think, spending time with her is going to be really bad.
As he
for
shows
his
up and meets her at a dark, shady barn.
Yeah, exactly. And
Come join
next
me in
time
this
it may
barn.
just not be money exchanged.
Silk is what you're
Silk,
talking
yeah.
about.
So,
Yeah, lots of
and,
stuff.
and
That's
in
what
this
the kids call it this time.
in this time frame, we also meet Captain Simcoe, who we all agree that we love.
Oh yes,
Such
he's
a
my favorite
skeevy
character.
guy.
Captain
Ugh.
Creepy.
Yeah, so he was a
Captain
lieutenant who
Creepers,
bought
yeah.
Joyce's commission and basically becomes a captain, gets quartered in Anna's house, and is just creepy as all get out. And he's one of those very ambitious characters. You always need one of those guys who's just whatever it's gonna take to get to the top.
yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm also gonna try to sleep with people along the way because I'm creepy.
I'm gonna stand
Yeah,
Well,
outside
it's a
their bedroom
power
at
trip
night.
thing for him, probably.
That's the creepy
now
thing
he's
that
a captain.
like he's almost like watching his prey. He hasn't gone in yet for the kill with Anna. It's just kind of like he's outside her door and he's buying
Listening.
her house.
Circling,
And
yeah.
I think it's the whole like slowly taking over. I think
he-
he likes that game.
Did you think
going
he was gonna
into-
make? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say he was going into her room too. when,
Yeah,
Yeah,
while
during
she
the
wasn't
day.
there,
While she wasn't
going
there.
through her stuff.
Probably
That's
like
messed up.
sniffing her clothes and stuff.
Did you think he was gonna make a move on her when they were in the basement getting more ale?
He was trying to.
I was hoping that he didn't, and luckily he didn't.
Well, he kept talking about over the barrel.
Over the barrel.
And I
was
was
the
like, oh
term
my
he
god,
used.
this is getting turning into a different show.
It's a whole new show when you go over the barrel. But he's got ambition, and when they go to attack the Continental Congress's holding spot, after they've been tipped off, he's the one person that they don't kill. I know,
always. Of
I know.
course.
They don't kill him, but I like the comment at the end that they made because he says, this is the one request that he had.
Yeah.
And you can tell that Abe wanted him to be killed. Like that was the one thing that he asked them to do for the information, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, he's like, I'll make a deal with you. I'll do this. You kill him. That's it. That's the deal.
So does that make you feel like you can't trust Ben Talmadge?
I'm annoyed.
It's not like he still took care of everybody else, and they're capturing
Well,
him.
and they didn't specify when they were gonna kill him. They could get the information that they need out of him and then kill him.
It's
and
clear-
then be
it's
like,
clear, though, that
"Hey,
he-
see?
Is good.
He's only asked for that to protect Anna. That's the only reason because he didn't want Simcoe floating around.
No, and himself though, because remember Simcoe was the one that grabbed him and like said, you may have fooled the major, but you didn't fool me. And so this guy's a major threat to everyone. They should have killed him. This is one of those Austin Powers, put him in the tank with the laser
Because
shark.
you know he's gonna
Why
escape
don't you
now.
just shoot him
Or-
now?
Yeah, shoot him
He's gonna
now.
get away.
If he's got dental floss, we have a huge problem.
Well, because this is gonna become a character where he's probably gonna escape or get
Yeah.
traded. He's not gonna end up dead.
Well,
Right.
they might even strike a deal with him, for his freedom, because these are they're quote unquote the good guys, but they're lying to their friend, and they're going to do what they feel is necessary for the greater good. And if that means striking a deal to let this one guy go, for their benefit,
Well, and
they
then
might do that.
whoever they're going to hand him over to isn't going to have that allegiance to Abe. They're not. They don't have that friendship. So it's going to be like, well, you know, we're doing this for the greater good. It's going to end up being something like that. And yeah, and you can't get rid of a creepy guy that quickly in a TV show. I feel.
And he doesn't know that Abe is the spy too. So if he knew that Abe was the spy, and they knew, you know, because they know he knows that Abe is shady, but you know he doesn't know that Abe is the one that sold them out. If he did know that, then they would have had to kill him.
I think he might know, or he's gonna figure it out quickly they just like he showed up and it was a trap, you know. He knows.
But there's no proof.
But then when they were talking, they didn't say Abe's name. They were calling him Woody. They kind of did a different camera angle where they panned out and you could see Simcoe there, and
his eyes were closed. But it's like, is he actually
is he listening? I mean, yeah, is he
going to figure out who Woody is? So back to my original question: do you feel like we can trust Ben Talmadge?
I feel like they would never outright sell Abe out, but they might make a mistake that will end up costing him dearly.
Or that's just going to go against what the things that Abe wanted and the reason he got involved.
Yeah.
I feel like he's trustworthy, but he's also trying to be like by the book to where they can get some stuff out of him.
Well,
so
and then
it'll backfire.
You can throw Caleb in there too because he's letting Ben take him. I mean, he could just shoot him in the head and be like, "Sorry, buddy."
It could have been that easy, but it wasn't that easy.
It wasn't that easy.
So it's not going to be that easy because we've got 9 more episodes left of Turn, and we got one quick moment to get some AfterBuzz TV predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Kristin, what do you think's going to happen next week?
Oh, next week. Well, we saw in the previews that there was like I think somebody's somehow going to leak that Abe's connected to it because we saw a fire, and then he was like shirtless in the area, and then I think we're going to see more of Robert Rogers. You know, he's going to he might be the one that starts that, and I think he's going to kind of be keeping a close eye on this.
He will be the leader of our villain ring, if you will.
Yeah, because Simcoe's going to be. I think we'll see him captured for a while, but as we all kind of said, he's going to get traded or just get out somehow.
Yeah.
Megan, what do you think?
I think that rather than the word getting out about him being a spy, I think it's more of the fallout of a lot of people think he got away with murder. And so, you know, the town is crying out for this guy who probably murdered a guy, you know, based on the evidence. We obviously don't think he did it. But yeah, so people back then were much more along the lines of like, hang them all and let God sort them out sort of thing. So
see what happens.
So yeah, there are going to be a lot of people calling for his head.
All right, Dillon.
I think that Caleb will kill more people with his axe. I don't know if that's a prediction, but it's a hope of mine.
I'm afraid his beard is going to get bigger.
Oh, yes. There's a fist behind that beard, like Chuck Norris.
Like Chuck Norris?
It's just going to come out and punch a redcoat in the face.
All right. Yes. I agree with Kristin. I want to see more with Rogers. I feel like he's going to be a pinnacle part in the bad side of this, and Abe is going to do some more spying.
So,
what makes you think that?
No way.
I don't know. Dillon, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Dillon Chance, or on the Grimm AfterBuzz, or tonight on the Cosmos AfterBuzz.
Megan?
You can find me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I also do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Tuesday nights.
All right, Kristin.
You can find me Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Megan as well, and you can find me on Twitter, Kristin Carole 13.
And as always, you can find me at RyanHooks92 on the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter, and the Snapchat. Wow. Guys, thank you for tuning in today to the Turn After Show episode 1. We'll be back next week for episode 2.
Yeah, and shout out to Steven, who couldn't make it today.
Our friend Steven Lemieux will be joining us next week on the panel. So for Kristin, Megan, Dillon, I'm Ryan Hooks. We'll catch you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.